We are on, page 13, Zayin Amud Aleph, Halacha Yud, the last Mishnah in the first chapter. This is like, again, about stuff you can do on Chol Moed, right, on the intermediate days of the holiday. Vosi Makalagag was allowed to make a parapet around one's roof. The Torah requires everyone to have a fence along one's roof, and is allowed to make that on Chol Moed. And Amir Pet says for a balcony as well, but only only the way a commoner would make it, Avalon Maisuma, but not the way a craftsman would make it. Now, this is the general principle in things you're allowed to do Chol Moed. You're only allowed to do things which a regular person could do, not things which require a special craft. So I once heard that there's a rabbi in Baltimore who studied car mechanics and says car mechanics is not considered to be a craft because anybody can really do it. It's just a question of actually going out and getting the knowledge. So I know about motorcycles, but that's what he said. So he said actually allowed to take. They say he ruled you're allowed to take your car to a mechanic during Chol Moed, otherwise you wouldn't be allowed to.
Well, carpentry, for example.
What?
Carpentry.
I guess, yeah, because carpentry, in order to get the joints, in order to do a professional job, there's a talent to it, a knack to it. As opposed to car mechanics, you don't have to be too bright. Car mechanics never struck me as being the intelligentsia of the earth. So,
obviously, the rabbi had car was required.
Well, this is before the computerization of cars, so I don't know nowadays what he would say, but that's what he said back in the 80s. Alright, so, Shafin Sadokim, when it's allowed to smooth over cracks in the wood, and to plaster them or seal them, B'magela with one of the sealing tools, Biyad with one's hand, Reil with one's foot, what is not allowed to use a specific type of tool called the mechlotzayim, which does much more expert job of sealing and smoothing. Hatzir, a hinge, Vatzinor, a pipe, Vakora, a beam, Vamanul, a key, a lock, Vamaftech, and a lock. Manul is the lock, Maftech is the key. Shenishtabru, which broke, Misakno some memoy, you can fix them on Chol Moed. As long as you do not intentionally set aside time to go get this work done on Chol Moed, because that's you're going to be free. If you can pickle your cucumbers on Chol Moed and get them ready by the end of Chol Moed to eat, and so too with any pickled vegetable, koshin, you're allowed to pickle it even on Chol Moed already. Okay? Now, says here the Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael reverses the numbers here. He has it as Legag Asara, Lerpes as Shlosha. In other words, there are different heights necessary for the heights of the makeh, of the parapet, around various different things. And the primary description the Torah gives to a parapet is on top of a roof. And there, in order to safeguard a person from falling, it actually has to be 10 tefachim high, about 30 to 40 inches high. However, the says in a balcony sits there, that's not the true chiyuv d'oraisa, it's not the essential Torah requirement to do so. So in that case, 3 tefachim is enough. You don't need a full 10 tefachim, 30 or 40 inches. About a third of that is okay. Okay. Says the Gemara. Says more further. Shavin says talking when someone can smooth out the cracks. Stein Rav Chia said, Hashav, somebody who smooths, shaf beregel, he does it with his foot. Ma'agel is like finishing plaster, not so much smoothing. Ma'agel biyat, he's allowed to use his hand. So that's the case. It seems to contradict our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said that didn't differentiate. So it says Gemara, Rabbi Chia said, "How shap raglo." Our Mishnah holds that a person who rubs. I went back a line. Masisa magil ktana. Our Mishnah is with a small plane or smoothing tool. Whereas the Ma'adatayim Rabbi Chia, that which Rabbi Chia said, is Ma'agela Gedola, is with the large tool. So with the large tool, you have to make a double shinui. You have to use a double change, which is really to use, I don't know what to call it, a double change, but you have to use it with your foot, not with your hand, since it does such a good job. But a small one, you can use either your foot and your hand, since it doesn't do such a good job anyway, okay, of smoothing out the roof or the cracks or plastering. Says the Mishnah further, Ratzir, a hinge, Vatzinor, a pipe, Vakora, and a beam, Vamano, and a lock, Vamafteach, and a key, Shenishtabu, which broke, V'sakna Memoid, you can fix it on Chomoid, Ovachlo Yichav Slachna Memoid, as long as you do not intend to complete your work on Chomoid, that's why you left it for there. Chado, like the following case, Raimona, Idpor Uka B'Sasume, Raimona, a rung of his ladder broke. Is that right? So it broke on Chomoid. So Shal Rabbi Yuna, well, we'll see in a moment. Shal Rabbi Yuna, boy, he asked Rabbi Yuna's father, V'shoyle, he needed to get fixed on Chomoid. Now Chomoid took because it was not a craft. It says the Gemara, Apilukei, nevertheless, even though he was going to permit it, he said, Amalei Puk Chamei Chad Sav. Damarvna? Okay, so let's Damarvna now. Zayin, the middle of Yud. Yud previous. No. Yud. We didn't finish the prayer last week. We didn't finish the prayer. No. You're in the middle there. You're in the middle. Okay, we're going to go till I fall asleep. You run the right page. No. We didn't get that far. Wishful thinking. We got to the first. We're in the middle of the second paragraph of the Gemara when they interrupted from Mara, which starts at the two dots.
Okay.
Atzir v'atzinor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atzir,
a hinge, atzinor, a pipe, a kora, a beam, a manu, a lock, mafteach, a kish, nishra, which broke, the sakna memoid, a bixim chamoid, a vat shalo, yechavin ismach chamoid, as long as you don't leave your work for moed yamta specifically. Kadol, like this case, Ramona itpar ukas besumed. Ramona, a rung of his ladder broke. Shol Rabbi Yonah, voice asked him and his father, can you fix it on Yontav? Charle a ladder for him. Well, look at this, very interesting Gemara. Afilu came nevertheless, Amarle, he said to his kid, Pukha me'echad go find another old man, another rabbi, who smoke and rely on him as well. But I don't want to rule on this by my own. I want somebody else to support my ruling on this. So he went out, Nafak, he went out, Ashkar Rabbi Bar Kahana, he found Rabbi Bar Kahana, Visharle, and he asked him, Visharle, and he permitted for the ladder he fixed on Yontav. Before you came in, we spoke about fixing your car. Now Yontav, I keep saying Chol Moed. You're allowed to take your car to a mechanic on Chol Moed. Okay? Well, we said a certain rabbi in Baltimore said you're allowed to, Rabbi Heinemann, who's actually a certified car mechanic. So Naaman, yeah. He's a cool dude. He's really into, when he wants to learn something, he learns out how to do it.
But that's an important fact.
Yes.
Because it distorts his teaching.
But on the contrary, he became an auto mechanic and he knows that this requires no.
And he, by becoming an auto mechanic, and in order to retain his sense of humility, he has to say that it requires humility.
You're making an interesting point. I don't think it's valid, but it's an interesting point.
How would it sound if a rabbi were to become an auto mechanic and then turn around and say, "Oh, this is a craft"?
Okay. Says Gemara, v'chol kvashim, any vegetable which you can pickle, sheyochel lech mehem b'moed, and you can still eat it on yontif kosher, and you can pickle. Kvashim she'eni yechol lechol mehem, to conclude the ramifications of that is that the pickled vegetables which you will not be able to eat from them according to before yontif is over. Sheyochel lechol mehem b'moed, lo, you're not allowed to pickle on chol moed. Rabbi Bar said, that's only if they're not going to get rotten. literally lost if they're not pickled. If it's something which if they don't pickle it's going to be lost, it's going to get this ruined. Mutter, you're allowed to pickle it, even if you won't be able to use pickled vegetables after you have it. Time we learned, it does something, but you should not go out and gather grass, and sell in the marketplace, because people don't eat this grass unless they pickle them, and therefore they're not going to eat them on Yontif. And therefore you shouldn't go out and pick the grass on Chol Moed in order to sell it. Rabbi Shalosh said, if you say that, then it's going to come out that people are going to permit to do craftsman's work on Yontif, on Chol Moed, right? Because if you're going to say you're allowed to gather stuff on Chol Moed, so people are going to come and do craft on Chol Moed. Craft here meaning harvesting their fields and everything, the labors that attend that, which we don't want them to do. So, locate Amar Rabba, Hada Tomer B'Shein Avudin. The Din Rabba say the only time you're allowed to do something drastic of that sort, such as work your land or to do something public in that respect, is when otherwise it's going to get lost. Avim Haya Davar that Avim Haya Davar Aved. I read the line one before that. Locain says, Locain says so maybe I did read it right. I didn't skip anything. So you come out there, you permit white craft specifically. One second. Yeah, these grasses which are growing are not used for human consumption, they're used to make dyes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Make what?
dyes, D-Y-E-S.
Colors. For dyeing clothes.
Tie-dye.
I was thinking metal dye for a second. For what? Tool dye. Oh, tool.
No, I don't even know if they had those back then.
It's funny, a lot of times I get the wrong person.
So,
That's a correct.
so he says, again, Rabbi Yishmael, if you're going to say that they're allowed to gather some Chol Moed, so people are going to start doing crafts work.
Right.
On Rabbi, so says, look at him, Rabbi or that so it must be rather the reasons like Rabbi Abba said. It depends if they are lost or not. Sorry. So it says more locate. That's only if they're not lost. So in other words, the criterion is basically not what's public or not, but if whatever's going to cause great substantial loss or not cause great substantial loss on Yontif, right?
This is all
Right. Our Rish is talking about where you gather stuff on Yontif itself, on Chol Moed. So therefore we find you that you have to wait until after Yontif in order to pickle it. Ma'adan Rabba said you can pickle them immediately, so that's B'Shalotim Re'Varegel, it's when you gather them from before Yontif began, not where Yontif itself began. Okay? So, so if it's Yontif, then or Chol Moed, then we say Davar Aved, something which is potential financial loss, you're allowed to gather. But
on the Yontif
what?
On the Yontif
I can't hear you.
On the Yontif also? We're only all four.
I meant Chol Moed. So Again, Masisa B'Shalokam B'Regel, our mission is when you gather on Yontif, so then you can't pickle no matter what. However, Mother Rabbi said you can pickle if it's ready on Yontif, B'Shalokam Erev Regel, that's where you collect them from before Yontif began.
They don't apply to anything that's fermented.
Yeah. And fermented, if it can be used, there really two criteria. If it can be used on Yontif, and if you don't do it, then it's going to get lost, and you for sure you do it on Yontif. Right? On Chol Moed. If you're not going to be able to use it on Chol Moed anyway, so for sure wait till after. Right? But if it's going to deteriorate,
like a fruit or vegetable,
then you can take care of Chol Moed, pick me whatever.
It's something that will, it's a grain.
Right.
That will not deteriorate.
And leave it.
You just leave it.
Right. Okay. Says Mr. further for a new paragraph. Misha hapach zeisav v'yiru ones. Somebody who turned over his figs, his olives, and then he had some accident before it. I skipped a review. Ovel or ones, or an accident, mourning fell upon him. Somebody died, his family, or he had some other compelling reason to cease to work. Oshi Tito, or somebody made him make a mistake. In other words, he hired workers under false pretenses and then they deserted his job. So what can he do in order to prevent total loss of his crop, which is sitting prepared to be pressed? Towing Korishon, he puts on the first beams. So you do the first batch, or do the first batch relatively superficially, and and does the rest after Yom Rabbi Yossi says, turn the page. Zolek v'gomer, you can literally scatter around the olives and finish the pressing kedarko, the normal fashion. In other words, if you're afraid of some loss, then you're allowed to do it the proper way, even on Chol Moed, even the full 10 yards, not just 9 yards. Okay? Says more. Anatina, we learned Misha Havach es Zeisav. Somebody turned over his olives once. Rabbi Chia taught us Mishayu Zeisav Hafuchim Ushnuyim. It means people whose olive trees themselves were turned over twice. Okay? Not the olive trees. What are we talking about? Sorry. It means that they're turned over twice, opposed to turned over once. The olives, when they're getting prepared to be pressed, they're turned over. Okay? Turning, I don't know exactly how it works, but they're turned over and mixed around. Prepare them for squeezing out oil.
Right. So it's preparing them for pressing. That's being compared to fermentation.
No, but it will though. No, well, you're right, but it will though. We're going to get back to wine.
You can't ferment an olive in freeze. What? You can olive oil. Right. I mean, you can still ferment an olive. Okay. Because when you buy, that's where you can buy food. Mediterranean olives are all fermented.
Yeah.
The Greeks didn't get it. The Greeks got it from the Arabs.
Oh, those are fermented. Wonderful.
Yeah, they're fermented.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. So the bottom line is that our Mishnah says, to tell you about a case where you turn them over once. And Rabbi Chis is talking about a case you turn them over twice. And this is all prior to the pressing process. So then you can do certain leniencies in terms of muktzah and such, like on Shabbos, on Yontif. So it says Masnitza tzrich Rabbi Chia. Our Mishnah requires Rabbi Chia's statement. Rabbi Chia tzrich Masnitza. Rabbi Chia requires the Mishnah statement. Again, our Mishnah talking about where you did one turning over, and the Bryce is talking about where you did two turning overs. Okay. So it says Gemara, Ilu Tnina V'lo Tanan Rabbi Chia. We just have to learn the Mishnah and not have learned Rabbi Chia. Avinami would have said Lomran Elamisha Hafchan Pam Achas. It's only limited over one time that we let him go and save his olives from certain rottenness on Yontif. But if he did it twice, I'd say everybody agrees that it's mutter, right? Have a tzurch l'masisa Rabbi Chia. That's why we need Rabbi Chia is to tell us that. My train of thought. I'm sorry. Let's do it over again from the third line in the Gemara. Ilutzina, where we have learned this Velotan Rabbi Chia, and we not have included Rabbi Chia in our perusal. Rabbi Chia says that it's that you have to have turned over the olives twice in order to have dispensation to work with them on Yontif. Would have actually Avir Rami would have said, Im lo it's only somebody who turned it over once. And that we have machlokas in our Mishnah what to do. And we did it over twice, everybody agrees it's mutter to mutter. Have a tziklam as disa to Rabbi Chia. That's when Rabbi Chia to tell us that even the case where you turn over twice, it's still a machlokas. Or we lutan Rabbi Chia below tanina Rabbi just said Rabbi Chia, not our Mishnah. However, we would have said. We would have said that the only time that there's any leniency, even as a machlokas, is when he turned over twice. Only turned over once. I would say everybody it's forbidden. Have a tell me the Mishnah requires the bride tzul masisa, the Mishnah requires the Mishnah wants to show there's one contiguous discussion. So says the Gemara. All right, Pinchas Barabi Zakai. Pinchas Zakai said another difference between the Mishnah and the Brisa. Masnisa b'sedinim batinim. Our Mishnah is talking about with tough olives. Tough. I think it's actually more fully ripe olives.
Those that haven't been pressed.
Yeah. Our Mishnah is talking about no. This is going in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah, which forbids it, is going on overly ripe. Olives. One second. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Pinchas Besakai. Masnisa Batim. Our Mishnah is talking about olives which are actually not as strong as the olives, so therefore they won't last the entire holiday. That's why we have to take care of them now. My entire Rebbe is talking about is gargarim, tougher olives, and therefore they'll stay fresh longer since they're tougher olives, literally shell encased olives. Therefore, by the time they get around to one second. I'm just trying to stand up. I'm falling asleep too much. Rabbi says, yes.
tired, you should get some sleep.
No, it's okay. It's an easy blot. We can finish in 5 minutes. If I stay away from 5 minutes, we can get things done. So
You got to stay away while you're driving home.
that's true. But then I have coffee for it. It's a 5-minute drive. We'll see how far we get in another 5-10 minutes.
You're really tired?
What?
If you're really tired, spill the coffee in your lap.
Yeah.
Don't brush it.
Then I'll sue you. Alright, Vilchas Rebbe. Okay, Vilchas Rebbe said, Rebbe Saka said, Masnisim Batinim, our mission is talking about tough, soft olives. And since they're soft olives, so therefore, even if you only turn them over once, you still have to start pressing them before you have to begin. Before you have to be over, I should say. Otherwise, it's going to go bad, right? The Gemara, the Brisa of Rabbi Chia is talking about where you turn them over twice because it's talking about harder olives, gargarim, and they only start getting ruined once you turn them over twice, and that's why. Since that's the case, the Brisa only allows you to start pressing them once you turn them over in preparation twice instead of once. Again, because they're tougher olives, so it takes more to make them susceptible to ruination. Okay? The rabbis of Katsur Kisarin said, Masnisa Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda, Umaratari, Rabbi Chia, which Rabbi Chia is saying is Rabbi Yosa. That was a little bit difficult exactly what that means, but he explains this very nicely in the Ridbaz on the bottom. He says, interestingly enough, different than we learned till now. When stuff is turned over once, it's more susceptible to going bad than when it's turned over twice. Because once it's more aerated, I guess, turned over twice, so then it's less susceptible to being ruined. Don't ask me, but that's how the Ridbaz explains it. So he says, so in our Mishnah where it says that if you turn over once, Rabbi Yehuda allows you to press it, it's because when you turn it over once, it's very susceptible to going bad, right? Very susceptible to going bad because it's only turned over once, it's not sufficiently aerated, they're not fully dry, so therefore Rabbi Yehuda allows you to continue to press the olives under that situation.
Let me ask a question.
Wait, let me just finish the Brisa. However, the Brisa is talking about a case where you press them over twice, right? You did them twice. You did them twice. They're actually less susceptible to ruination because they're aerated, whatever happens. So that is actually Rabbi Yehuda forbids you to press them even once. The only one who allows you to press them is Rabbi Yosef. And why is the difference between the two opinions? Let's just go a couple lines further. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, because Rabbi Yehuda says Omer, Yova Dover Mamuot, and Cholamoy, we let you suffer small loss, but not a large loss. So therefore, if you turned over twice, then not to press on Cholamoy is a small loss, because it won't get so bad. And therefore, don't press. But you've only pressed them once till now, so therefore you can now only turn them over once till now. You can press the olives, because if you don't, then you're going to get a major loss. Again, because one time it's worse than two. And Rabbi Yosef says the exact opposite. Rabbi Yosef, we allow you not to suffer any loss. You don't have to undergo any loss of Chol Moed whatsoever. So therefore, he holds that even if you already turned it over twice, and therefore it's less susceptible to going bad, nevertheless, since it's somewhat susceptible, even a minute amount, that's why you're allowed to actually continue and press them on Chol Moed proper. You don't have to wait till after Yom Tov. Yes?
So the real focus is over the principle of whether you are allowed to take such action as is necessary to eliminate the chance of loss on the one hand,
yes,
or alternatively to minimize it in view of the volume knowledge of olives. In other words,
this is actually, but the olives is a specific case, which is just, case law.
But what's fascinating is they start with the particular and then they get to the general. You've got rabbis arguing over when you turn over and when you press it, because what they're really trying to do is uphold the same, almost, there are two principles. One is minimize it to a reasonably small practical extent. The other is an ironclad rule, no loss.
Right.
Okay. But if you say minimize it,
Right.
Then you have to analyze olive tree.
Right.
How does one go
Right.
about? And the rabbis seem not at all reluctant to sit there and do that. As opposed to
They grow olives for a living. I don't see the problem with that.
No. I don't see it as a problem.
I don't see a problem with I know you don't see this problem. I don't see. Let me rephrase that. I don't see anything particularly intriguing about this Gemara, which you seem to.
Because the rabbis, they don't start with the general. They don't say, okay, let's agree that all.
No, I don't know if that's true though, because they are explaining the general. It's just they're going through the back door. But the case of Mishnah was indeed a case. Maybe this is what you mean to say. In which case you're correct. The case of Mishnah is talking about olives, whereas we should have talking about the principle.
Yes.
Okay. But that's like that throughout Shas. That's a peculiar, specific, similar, peculiar.
Does it do about olives? Is that why? And they
No, it was easier to deal with case. It's more concrete. It's not because they knew about olives per se.
So olives are illustrative?
Yes.
Or is it because
olives are illustrious? No.
Illustrative too, but this is a point I'm really intrigued by.
Yes.
However, what it is to be intrigued by. If you've got are olives an example, an exemplar of a methodology of a rabbinical point of view? They're holding up the olives, or are they symbolic?
No, they're an example, because you'll see in the next Mishnah we'll deal with other things which are also examples.
And so all it is the case.
Right.
So that if you were talking about another vegetable, it turns different.
It'll be different. Sure.
You compare your olives and grapes, or apples and oranges. Nice.
Okay.
So there's no generalization here at all.
Well, there is. I mean, Rabbi Yosef, we just said it in generalization terms. We said that Rabbi Yehuda says a small loss we do not eliminate on Chol Moed. Rabbi Yosef says we even eliminate small loss.
But the rabbi says I eliminate even the small loss. Has the advantage of, I don't mean this politically, methodological extremism. He says no, anything.
Right.
Absolutism.
Here for leniency, though.
Of course it's for leniency.
Yeah.
But this is not a semi-Hillel thing. What it really is a, I mean, to me it's fascinating. You've got one rabbi who says absolutely nothing, and so all you do is sit there and say, I smell a whiff of loss? No. But the others have to grapple with the idea, well, how much loss is minimal? How much minimalness is required is acceptable? Where do you draw the line? And in order to...
Well, yeah, it would be much more convenient to rule like the opinion which holds that no loss whatsoever. It's very difficult to accept the opinion for practical reasons, that a small loss is insufficient and a large loss is sufficient to allow you to desecrate the Moed. Because who's going to reckon what these things are? That's how it's about. That's not what you find intriguing.
Also, because everything becomes very specific to the vegetable at issue. Everything becomes enormously.
Well, you should wait till next Mishnah. The next Mishnah will discuss grapes. So now we'll discuss olives. The next Mishnah will discuss grapes. So you see, we're giving examples as we go along. Okay? Says one, you'll have to take that faith, but it's there. It's the next page. Says Rabbi ben Pasha, Rabbi Yochanan said, "Kishem shein chalukin kach came and kach chalukin bilchasei ovel." The same holds Rabbi Yossi here about Chol Moed. When you do Chol Moed, same thing by an ovel. As no person who's not available, specifically in Shiva, may not do any work. It's forbidden to actually not just do work, but look after his affairs. You can't, because Shiva would be a time, you take out your bills, you start paying bills, right? You can't do it, you're not allowed to. Okay? So that's what it says here. The Tari we learned, these are things you do for other people can do for a mourner when he's mourning. If he had a pile of olives, you can press them. V'zovin is saying if he had wine left out, you can sprinkle it for him. The goviness chavirs, when you seal those barrels for him, v'zeisa v'afuchim u'shtuyim, and if his olives are turned over and turned over again, the second time, very key, turned over twice, tochlan kedarka, then you can grind them in the oral fashion. U'malshkin based on shachar, and you can irrigate his field, which requires irrigation. When it's time for it to receive its water. You plant this harvested field pishtan with flax, beravia, with the first rains have fallen. Not the first rains, quarter of the rains. Amalai said, no. If you can't plant in flax during these 7 days, which I guess is that there's a very small window of opportunity for planting flax, so we don't allow somebody else to go in for him and plant for him. Let him plant something else later when he gets it from Shiva. If he can't plant this week, he'll plant next week. It's similar enough. We don't allow any desecration for that purpose. So Mani Amrulo, who's the one who said this language of Amrulo that you can't that we let him just plant something else? Rabbi Yisa, it's Rabbi Yisa. Ooh, says the more. That's Rabbi Yisa, so that means Rabbi Yisa is the first Tana. Well, Mechav she talks to Rabbi Yisa, that's a contradiction. Rabbi Yisa seems to have changed positions. Tamanu Omer, in our Mishnah he says, Yova Davarim Memuach, let him lose a little bit by over there, as long as he doesn't lose a lot. That's why he can only press his house once. V'kar Marachen. But here he says we diminish from him any loss. And that's why, if he could have planted flax, even though the next week he can still plant some other commodity, but it's not quite as expensive as flax, so we go in and we plant this flax for him. So that shows that we're worried even about a small loss, right? So it says, because here he said we're not worried about a small loss. It says, Shani Tamon. Chol Moed is different. You know why? Because Jews are Jews. Shedarko Larim, and Jews, if you let them, give them a finger, what are they going to take? The whole body. So if you let them put any work, do any work on Chol Moed, Jews are going to say, let's leave all our work for Chol Moed. So that's why you have to be more stringent about Chol Moed than about Avelus. A person's not going to leave work for Avelus. A person doesn't, of course, anticipate having to go into Avelus. But a person does anticipate Chol Moed, he's going to plan his calendar around Chol Moed for all those household jobs. So that's why we tell him that in the case over here, if it's going to be small loss, too bad, by Chol Moed. But by Avelus, even if it's going to be small loss, we do for him what we can. Okay?
Isn't that very uncharacteristic? I mean, if you're a farmer and
why? Because we're being humane?
No, because they're listing all these things you can do for the farmer.
Yeah.
You imagine the farmer saying, wait a second, I make these judgments. How much to plant, where to plant,
No, you don't. You're not Avelus.
So then get off my land.
No. We're doing you a favor.
Warning.
By what?
Meddling in my business.
No, we know that that's what he would have wanted to do. He's our neighbor. We know what he wants to do.
Okay.
They could kick him. You could kick them off. He doesn't have
You
to
direct them.
No. Can't direct them. They can ask him questions, but he can't go out and direct the procedure.
So they can ask him questions.
Yes.
With sufficient specificity to
Right.
rise to the level of direction.
Right. But not explicit direction. Okay. Says Gemara. Since this is all the Rabbanan, so therefore we can do what we want in these areas, That's the fudge factor. By the Rices, by Torah law, you don't have this kind of wiggle room. By the Rabbanan, sometimes you can drive trucks through the wiggle room. Okay? So anyway, but generally speaking, in all seriousness, the prohibition on doing work when a person is in Novel is relatively strict. So, it's not something which is rarely... It should be Rabbi Yosa, even though it says Rabbi Yosa. Certainly Rabbi Yosa changes his opinion, because by us he says even the smallest loss we're afraid of, and there by Avelus he says if it's a small loss, if it's not flax, it'll be another crop, not so terrible. So that's a contradiction, right? Ma'is tamon shadako laharim, says the Gemara, if over there by Yontif, where a person plays tricks, right, by Chol Moed, at Omar Mutar, right, you say it's permissible, Afkan, so in other words, to save the slightest amount, Afkan Kacha ain't dark glaring, where you don't plan for your relative to die. They give you shiva to get work done, right? So then, Lokoshke, it's certainly, what? Some people do, I know, but usually it's for insurance money. So anyway, in that case, you certainly are not going to, why should you not allow the guy to even make sure that he doesn't suffer the smallest loss, right? Or why shouldn't you allow us to make sure he doesn't suffer the smallest loss? So Rabbi China said, Mano Amrulo, who's the Amrulo, said that you should allow him to, who's the one who said that here, that you should, if he doesn't plant the flax, he'll plant something else. So it says, the Gemara, Chachamim, it's not Rabbi Yoso, who says, of course, you would, if he wanted to plant flax, you would only plant flax for him. It's Rabbi Yehuda Moed that a small loss we allow you to suffer, and so too, by Velus we allow you to suffer the small loss and have your field planted with something other than flax. Okay? If your wine was already in the cistern. Viru Avel, and then he became an Avel, onus or something happened, or your workers walked down to you, they went on strike, or they tricked you, left with all your machinery. Zolate the Gomer, you can complete the way sprinkling what you're doing. The Gav Kedarko, or put barrels on the normal way. Diva Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Lamer, I said, lowly mudim, you can't go that far and make barrels, or close barrels. Just put planks on top of the wine, which shouldn't go bad. So obviously, again, he's only allowed something that's going to be a complete loss or a major loss, now it's going to be a minor loss. Okay? Says one Rabbi Zerba said, Lo Amar Elo, V'chein Shoya Yeno B'Soch Habor. It only says if your wine is already in the well, in the cistern, but before the fact, if you haven't yet pressed your wine, you're not allowed to press it on Chol HaMoed. What are you talking about? If it's already time to harvest the grapevines, and he did not harvest, he sinned for his soul. Of course you don't let him do it on Chol HaMoed. That's simple. If it's before, by the time Yom came around, was he had time to harvest the grapes? Yochol have a coin. Then anyway, he should just forbear. In what case is it permissible to partake? Okay, now it's a case where it is already time to harvest. He thought he could wait till after Yontif for low time, but it turned out he was mistaken about that. So then he can harvest his grapes even though Yontif. Like the time case. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Kortav Karmeh, he harvested his vineyard b'moado nan Chol HaMoed. So guess what happened? Jews are Jews. Chamine Kolava, everybody else saw it. And they harvested their fields as well, even though it wasn't necessary for them, right? The next year, Shavakte v'yovesh, in order not to lead everybody else astray, to emulate his example, he left his vineyard even though it shriveled over Yontif and was no good afterwards. Okay? Says the Gemara, summing up that situation, Yalfun mikal kolose. People like learning from people's negative, literally their ruined deeds. Mitakanose lo yalfun. People don't like learning from other people's positive deeds. Okay? So that's why, even though, according to the strict letter of law, you'll be allowed to harvest whatever is necessary to save himself from loss, nevertheless he did not do so because people started watching him and harvesting even where it was inappropriate. Okay, Rav Chiya b'Shem Barashi. Rashi b'Shem Rav said, Hura Shari Mavdine b'Moada, you're allowed to make a fishnet on Yontif, lots of chomoid, lots of badagim to hunt down fish. B'moad on the chomoid. Rabbi Bilin Molaya, ready to testify that this is I'm not sure exactly what this is. Oh, sieve, that's right. You're allowed to make a sieve, Mavdim b'moad on Yontif l'tzar chomoid, on chomoid for the purpose of chomoid. Rabbi Amar Rebuim pumps for water. Shari Mavdim b'sum b'moad, you're allowed to make chomoid l'tzar chomoid. Rabbanan the Kesarim, the rabbis, the Kesarim said, they said, Masikin Lepasik, this what is allowed to fire up in a kiln, various different pots and tzorech hamoed for the purpose of Yontif. Shmuel Mahar, Shmuel said, Saftin Garba, you can line with pitch to make waterproof a large vessel. Below Zaftin Kuzta, not a small vessel. Zaftin Garba, the Zifta, the Kirkira. Because you line those because you line those with the kira, very thin level of pitch, so therefore it doesn't cost so much. Below Zaftin Kusta the Zifta, or it's not so much tircha, I should say. Below Zaftin Kusta the Zifta glida. You don't do the inner lining of a kusta, of a pitcher, because it has a thick lining, and thick lining is much more of a pain. Some say the exact opposite. Zaftin kusta, you can do a small vessel and waterproof it. Below Zaftin garva, not a large vessel. Upasi learned the kikichi l'shah. Passing out is kusta shila shah, a kusta which is a temporary thing. I don't know why I guess they didn't keep it around. So there below Zafti, on the contrary. Make a mistake. Zafti and Kusta Shila Shah. You're allowed to, according to this perspective, line and waterproof a small vessel, because there, when you line and waterproof it, it's temporary, right? It's not made to last. Okay. Just it's going to be thrown out shortly. Lozati garva, it's supposed to barrel that if you put it into pitch, that's made lishtos. It's made for a long time to sit lishos, so to a long time to sit around. So therefore, that's more stringent. Okay. In other words, you're not allowed. There are two opinions here. One is that which has a thicker lining is prohibited. That which has a thinner lining is permissible. The other is that really the one which is made for permanently, that should be the thicker lining or the better lining, and that which is temporary is the thinner or worse lining. Okay? Says the Mishnah further. Person can bring in his fruit because he's afraid of thieves. And he can send his flax out of the place where it's soaking. It should be lost again, we had this before. As long as one does not intentionally put up your work to Chol Moed. If they intently the work of Chol Moed, the Oved will tough luck. They have to lose whatever they're doing. Uzlok Rabbi Yehuda, this is like now Rabbi Yehuda. It says you're allowed to actually bring it in from the field. Like Rabbi Yehuda says, for a small loss, we now compensate you, so let him hire watchmen to sit out in the field, or let him sit there himself. So must the Rabbi Yossi says, even a small loss, a small expenditure, we don't make you spend on Chol Moed. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbanan said, no, here it's different. Prakmatio aveda shari mataf lamoada. Stop merchandise, otherwise we lost, you're allowed to carry on Yontif, on Chol Moed actually. Why is that? Because he said, this is a different type of thing. It's not actually the same type of area we were talking about before. We're actually transgressing something in a more direct sense. Here, just carrying something heavy. And what's there, you're extracting oil from owls. That's a prohibition, Torah prohibition. Granted, Chol Moed, it's not so terrible, but the idea is that it's pre-existing, and you have to tap into that.
I understand that, but the previous point was difficult. Something about you're not allowed to pitch, but you can throw it out.
No, I mistranslated that. If I had said that, or I give you the wrong impression. Oh, I'm slow. I'm tired. I'm tired. You see? Okay. Says the Gemara further. That was not bad. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov. So anyway, it's allowed carrying. Even Rabbi Yehuda would permit. He doesn't allow. He says a small loss you should suffer rather than perform a true malach on Chol Moed. But carrying, that would he permit on Chol Moed. Kind of basically what it comes down is Chol Moed. I don't know if the Gemara ever says explicitly. I don't recall, but there's no real concept of muktzah on Chol Moed. It's a concept of malacha, but not a concept of mukta. That's really what we're saying here. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi said, interesting, we're shifting gears slightly. If a caravan comes to town, you're allowed to buy stuff from Chol Moed. If there's a major sale, normally one is not allowed to go shopping in Chol Moed, even women. But if there's a major sale, you're allowed to go. Why? Because that's a davar ave. It's a loss.
What?
That's what it says here. It says a caravan comes to town. Nordstrom's is having a sale. Only on Chol Moed you're allowed to go. That's considered to be davar ave. That something a loss which you would suffer otherwise.
Babli too.
What? Good Babli too. Yep.
That's the rule.
Yeah. Why does it bother you? Do you find this intriguing?
No, I find it intriguing. I find it illuminating.
Okay? It's a Jewish mentality. All right? So says the Gemara. Now shifting gears yet a little bit more. How the other Sharasameo, you're let's say, you're a chveis, you're a suit salesman, okay? A haberdasher. And you know there's a shipment coming in from New York which is going to undermine the price of suits in town. Right? So the shaila is, since you know there's a caravan coming in, can you sell your suits now on Chol Moed in anticipation of the caravan which is coming right after Chol Moed? Which is a very cute question, which you usually don't find in the Gemara, such a specific question. But that's what it's asking here. If you knew a caravan is coming down and your merchandise would go down in value, what's your status? So Ramana said, if you know that if you don't sell now, you're going to lose, it says here, agra, from your profit, but the Rishonim actually changed it to karna, and you're going to lose from your principal, Yasmin, and you can sell in Chol Moed. If you love not, lo Yasmin should not. Rabbi Yossi ben Agra, Rabbi Yossi Barbuna, he said, no, Agra, the karna, the profit plus the principal, Karnu is really principal. He was a good capitalist. He knew that people don't sell things at cost because they don't make money on it. So he's saying even if you're not going to lose from the capital, from the principal, but you're also going to lose from the profit, you also get to sell early in Chol Moed to avert that loss. So that's what he says, Agra v'karno karnu. In Yoda the law, if you don't sell now, Lupachas, you're going to lose. It should be agra from your profit. The Yizbin, then you can sell even on Chol Moed. Ilo, if not, lo Yizbin, you shouldn't sell on Chol Moed. Okay, so it's
the loophole that ate the world.
The loophole ate the world. It's a good way of putting it, but I would not be that cynical as you may. You are being somewhat cynical. You realize that, right? Yes. Okay. Somehow I attract all these cynical people. I don't know why this happens. My luck. So let's go further. Rabbi Yoda, Rabbi Yosa. Right? We're almost done. Almost did 2 blocks. Just a couple more minutes. Rabbi Yoda, Rabbi Yosa, Horan Bahadin Lasuta. They said, same idea what you had before. If a ship comes to town, the boat comes in, right? Share Mizbenase Moada. You can buy stuff from Chol Moed, but there's a catch. The Tzorach Moed only for the purpose of Chol Moed, for the purpose of Yontif. Okay? Before we said, if there's a special sale, you can buy on Chol Moed. Now we're saying, there's no special sale, then you can go if it's for the purpose of Yontif. Okay? Now, you talked, although this is a cynical comment, you talked about the loophole through which you could drive the world or something?
No, the hate world.
They hate the world. Well, here's how it plays out. Okay? You're enjoying this part too much. Rabbi Yitzhak, Rabbi Elazar, Mafkele, Rabbi Yitzhak, Elazar told or gave a directive. Rabbi Yeshua Bar Shimei, so Rabbi Yeshua Bar Shimei, to have a person who's going out to sea for business purposes on Chol Moed. He says, "In at yoda dat masbin, if you know that you're going to sell stuff or buy stuff, ve'ilfa murcholach, and the boat will wait for you. But us say mishtoi gabani, you can come back to us to drink with us a drink. L'chavad yontif during Chol Moed, zavin you can go and sell. If not, lo tizmin you can't go to sell." So basically, what I think he's saying is, although I'm not 100% sure about this, what he's saying is that as long as the boat trip to go sell will not deprive you of the joy of Yontif when you come back and drink wine with me tonight, then you're okay. You can actually go out and do business dealings on Chol Hamoed, as long as at some point you will be able to reconcile that with your joy of Yontif. Okay? Joy. The happiness, the observance of Yontif, it's the happiness. Come back and drink.
Not always.
Well, Chol Hamoed. Chol Hamoed. Yontif, of course, is the other components like Shabbos, right? Refrain from work. But Chol Hamoed.
Shabbos, it's like the holiday we just had.
What holiday did we just have? Tish B'Av's not a holiday.
Well, you don't take off for anything.
It's depressing
You go to work in a day.
It's depressing day.
Well,
We're talking about days of joy. Yom Tov is defined as a day of joy. So if you're able to have the joy at the same time you're going out to work, not at the same time, you're in the course of the same day, then you can go out to work. That's what he's saying.
there's a certain amount of joy in the Shabbat.
No. Anyway, it's not relevant to this Gemara. No, not relevant to our Gemara. No.
Are there other holidays that have such a very a lachrymose component to them that would
A what component?
What?
A lachrymose?
Sad.
I don't want to say lachrymose is what I said.
Yeah, right.
But it's a big, it's like for me too.
Like I said, close.
Sad.
What's the difference? We're talking here about Pesach and Sukkot, so it's the only difference that it's Chol Hamoed. And that's why we're talking specifically about joyful concepts.
Okay.
We're talking about Tisha B'Av, then you're right, we could discuss it, but that's not the discussion on Gemara. It's a discussion more specifically Chol Hamoed. So it's a different ballgame. Okay? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yonah Butzrei, Rabbi Yonah from Butzra, Havali Safrini had books he wanted to sell. Shar Rabbi asked Rabbi Yonah, Mau Mizatin B'Moed Kattan Yonah Chol Hamoed. So he said, Machte at Moada, if you rejoice on Chol Hamoed, Shati at Kunditin, and you drink fine wines, meaning that if when you sell them, you'll have more wherewithal to keep Yontif properly, then you let you engage in selling them on Yontif as well. Okay? Rabbi Chanina Chavin D'Rabbanan, you know what? This is already a new sugya, so let's leave this for tomorrow night.